What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and a few days ago, I didn't really talk about it because it was basically an April Fool's joke, or potentially at least anyway. A few days ago, on April 1st, Sega released an 8-bit joke demake of Bayonetta on Steam, and a lot of people played, a lot of people had fun. It was obviously free to play, just as a good joke, but buried within it, people found a link to a website, and this website is an official Sega website where at the same time a countdown had started. Now I'll have a link to the website in the description below, but the big thing is when you couple the fact that there was this joke PC Steam release of the 8-bit demake, or whatever they want to call it, the retro-inspired version of Bayonetta on Steam for the first time, because Bayonetta 1 is not on Steam, Bayonetta 2 is a Wii U exclusive. So the fact that that was on there, hidden within it, they found a link to a website with an official Sega website with a countdown. And when you looked at the actual achievement pictures on Steam, they actually made up, if you put them all together in the right order, they made up a proper picture of Bayonetta. She'd have her usual looking over her shoulder from behind pose. And yeah, it was, you couple all this together and people start asking questions and people start wondering what's going on. So, what is this website most likely counting down to? Now, there's a couple of things that people reckon out there, and there's one thing, most of them are pretty viable options, but in particular, one of them kind of stands out the most, and that's the one that I believe is also probably the case. So, what could this be pointing to anyway? First off, the counter is pointing down. I haven't worked out the exact time in minutes, but it's going to expire at some point on the 11th of April. So I believe it's like noon or a little bit before. Like I said, I haven't done the exact math, but it's going to be some point early enough on April 11th. Now, so what could it be counting down to? Well, there's several things. Some people think there's going to be a HD remaster, we'll call it, or whatever, of Bayonetta 1 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. A viable option. I don't see that outside the realm of possibility, especially because the Wii U version of Bayonetta 1 it had better graphics, better quality, etc. It had better frame rate, and I believe it had better resolution at the same time. And we all know that while the 360 version of Bayonetta is decent, we all know that the PS3 version is absolutely a joke and but borderline unplayable. So that's a very real possibility. We could get a remaster of the first one on Xbox One and PS4. Some people think there may be a collection remaster for current gen consoles of some sort. Now, I think this one is a lot less likely, pretty much off the table completely as far as I'm concerned, because the way I understand the whole situation and the development cycle of Bayonetta 2 is that Bayonetta 2 basically would not have happened if it wasn't for Nintendo. And because of that, Nintendo basically funded development, and they essentially, as far as we understand, own the rights to having Bayonetta 2 and the publishing rights to it, at least anyway. So they would have to give the get-go, as far as I know, to let Bayonetta 2 appear on a different console. And let's be real, this is Nintendo, so it's just not going to happen. Look at GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. Now, there's a couple of other ones as well. Another more popular opinion, and this one kind of seems to be the largest of, yeah, it's probably the largest of opinions depending on where you look. And that one is, will we see an announcement for Bayonetta 3? Now, again, I do think that is very possible. We could have someone stepping in and shouldering the publishing rights, similar to Nintendo on Bayonetta 2. For all we know, it could be Nintendo doing it again for Bayonetta 3. It could be Sony doing it for the PlayStation 4. It could be Microsoft doing it for the Xbox One. Who knows? It could just be Sega. And it could just be Sega actually doing it all by themselves and releasing it on possibly everything, including the Switch for some reason, who knows. But that is also a very real possibility. But at the same time, you do got to look at it this way as well. Would they not, like, this close, it will be April 11th, this close to E3, would they not maybe hold off and get bigger press coverage and all? I realize you can argue that it's not bigger press coverage, but it is at the same time. For the simple reason is, yes, you will get bigger press coverage in general just from announcing and showing off a big game at E3, but at the same time, it's going to be, you could arguably say it's going to be dwarfed by a lot of other big games also being shown off and demoed and announced at E3. So it's a double-edged sword. But at the end of the day, E3 is basically the biggest, whatever we call it, game announcement showcase and game announcement platform and gaming style news platform, whatever you want to call it, of the year. Admittedly, it has been going down and down in decline the last few years, and especially this console generation. But you get the point anyway. Now, having said that, at the same time, announcing it in the middle of April is kind of a good idea as well. For the simple reason is, well, when you think about it, there's not much happening at the moment. So the fact that there's very little news going on, very little game announcements, very little game releases, the fact that a big announcement would actually grab a lot of attention. So it makes sense both ways, and I could see it happening either way. Now here is the one that I actually believe could be the most likely outcome of what this counter is counting down to. And I think once the counter hits 0, we're going to see an announcement or a video or even just a stealth straight up ninja release of Bayonetta 1 on PC for the first time. Now, it could also be a remaster version of the first one releasing on Xbox One, PS4, possibly even Nintendo Switch, and PC. But I think the big focus and the big deal about it will be Bayonetta 1 on the PC. I think that is going to be the main focus of this whole thing. For the simple reason, it was buried, it's all linked to something that only released on Steam, essentially. I realize the website can be viewed from anywhere and anything, but, this retro-inspired version of Bayonetta that released only on Steam, and you can argue with the whole achievement pictures as well. But the big thing is that it only seemed to release on Steam. You didn't have this version on anything else. You didn't have it on the Switch. You didn't have it on the Wii U. Not that anything comes out on the Wii U anymore. You didn't have it on the 360. You didn't have it on the PS3. Again, not that anything comes out on the 360 or PS3. You didn't have it on Xbox One. You didn't have it on PS4. You didn't have it on phones. You didn't have it on tablets. You didn't have it on anything like that. It was only on Steam. And I think that is a very telling sign that a link buried within a Steam-only game of a game that's basically the only platform that it's pretty much not on is Steam, because, not including PS4 and Xbox One, because it launched on you don't have to count that because they're remasters. But the PC is always there. The PC is always there. There's no doubt about it. And they obviously have the higher quality assets from the Wii U version. They've got it running at a better frame rate as they do with the Wii U version. So I think it's completely understandable, and especially when you look at a lot of the companies nowadays bringing their old style games from, say, console exclusives from, say, the 360 and PS3 era onto PC for the first time. Sure, not all of them have upgraded graphics. Some of them, realistically, you're only talking maybe a better resolution or better anti-aliasing settings, but that's a big deal. Better resolution is always a big deal, and better anti-aliasing is always a great deal. Look at Capcom, for example, when they released Dead Rising 1 on PC. So, it used pretty much all the same assets and textures, and you could obviously improve the resolution because of PC, and at the same time you could use anti-aliasing settings, which obviously cleaned up the image a significant amount. Now, couple all of that and all of the potential Wii U assets from the Bayonetta 1 port on the Wii U. I think I just said Wii U twice in that sentence, but it makes sense that it would come to PC. And personally, I think even though I never really had any interest in Bayonetta and I skipped it all these times, I've never actually played Bayonetta 1 or 2, I think I would possibly buy Bayonetta 3, Bayonetta 1 HD on PC, we'll call it. For the simple reason is, I don't know. PC has been my platform of choice. I wouldn't really want to play that kind of thing on the 360 version, or God forbid the PS3 version. The Wii U version of the first game at least is currently the definitive edition because of the rock solid frame rate, or from what I understand, rock solid frame rate, as well as slightly better graphics. So I was just never really into it. Now, having said that, I was a big fan of Devil May Cry at the start of the series, and it is a Devil May Cry-esque game. I haven't been into that kind of game for a while, but I'd be willing to use Bayonetta. Yeah, I'd be willing to do Bayonetta. I mean, that would have sounded much better, wouldn't it? I'd be willing to use Bayonetta as a way to try ease myself back into the actual genre, and we'd see how it goes, especially when you consider the power of the PC. A game like that, you need 60 FPS. You look at Devil May Cry 1, you look at, say, the PS3 version of Bayonetta 1, you look at even the 360 version to an extent, the frame rate is all over the place on that one. I believe it can go up to 60 FPS, but as far as I know, it's just a mess and is everywhere. I could be wrong, but you get my point. So games like this, they're very stylish, they're very stylized, they're very slick, they're very fast. Games like that need 60 FPS or above. And on the PC, you can easily go above 60 FPS. That's not a problem. You can lock it at 60 FPS if that's, your hardware or your preference or whatever. But at the point is that you can play at 60. You can fucking play at 96, you can play at 120, you can play at 144. There's monitors out there to go even higher nowadays. There's like 100, I think it's 186, or I think it's like 216 or 210 or something like that. So you can go all the way up to these. And in a game like that, a nice fast-paced, slick, quick-moving game like that, it would definitely be worth it. So I'm curious to see what it is. Once again, I'll have a link to the actual countdown timer in the description below. In a week from now, we'll actually see what it finally is, and if it is a PC port of Bayonetta 1 at a reasonable price, get ready to see some of that on this channel eventually, and hopefully, could potentially be enjoyed. Anyway, what do you think of it? What do you think of this countdown? Do you think it's going to be a port onto modern consoles? Do you think it's going to be a PC port for the first time? Do you think it's going to be Bayonetta 3? Or do you think it's going to be some sort of announcement of a collection of some sort in some way, shape, or form? Hell, for all we know, it could even be details on the actual amiibo that we've been promised for, since December 2015, 2017, since the December of 2015, so it could finally release, who knows. Let me know all that in the comments section below, as well as if you like Bayonetta, or if you didn't, or what the deal is. Let me know all that down below anyway. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, you can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.